Hey everybody, welcome and thanks for tuning in to Pouring Over Properties, the podcast where Vegas locals spill on homes and local spirits. And today we are talking about the NAR lawsuit. We call it the NAR Dirty Dog lawsuit because our local spirit today is actually from the Big Dogs Brewing Company here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you named what it's called?
The Dirty Dog.
Dirty Dog IPA. So we are going to keep the beer just a little lower on the screen today because I didn't think of color choice when I got the can, and it is green. So if you see a floating beer, yeah,
it's the beer.
It's actually beer, yeah. So
cheers to that.
Get it going. Cheers to that.
All right, so that's a good one. It's an IPA, 7.1, so we need that while we're talking about this particular topic.
Fresh. I do like it, man. Yeah. I feel like it's a little bit like crispier. Like
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Like,
the hops are there.
The hops are there, but they're not like lingering like sometimes.
No, they clean out the tongue.
Yeah.
So today's topic is obviously about the NAR lawsuit, as well as a lot of the brokerages that have been brought into this class action lawsuit, actually. I know for me, it's something I've been tracking very closely. NextHome Corporate, our amazing CEO, James Wiggins, and has been tracking. He's become a subject matter expert on it. Has really kept us educated on it. And I don't think a lot of people know about it.
It's like a buzzword right now, you hear about it, but nobody knows what it means. I mean, I talk to real estate agents every day, being in title and escrow and a marketing rep. It's my job to do that. And when this topic is brought up, it's amazing to see how much people don't know, honestly. And that's when Beau brought up the topic to me and wanted to talk about it on the podcast. I was like, I'm not the most educated on the subject, but Beau is, NextHome, I feel like they're kind of on the, I don't know.
We're on the cutting edge. We're well educated.
You're getting ahead of what's to come in this sort of scenario. And there's just so many, misconceptions of what you're hearing maybe on the internet or maybe your own.
There's a lot of rumors and a lot of fear mongering. Is that the word that we're looking for?
I like it. Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, this is only going to affect real estate agents. Why are you doing this podcast? But to be fair, this is going to change the industry as a whole for not only agents, lenders, more title. But buyers and sellers, because it's going to change your mindset of how we're going to transact in real estate for the next, well, depending on how this actually truly shakes out, forever.
Yeah, it will change the industry forever. What is that change? And when is it going to actually implement? Those are the two questions that obviously that we're going to wait and hopefully try to find out. But it is definitely going to change the way real estate is maybe done or paid. Real estate agents are paid moving forward. So
I will make a couple disclaimers before we start this.
Yeah.
One,
I'm not an attorney.
The sky is not falling. The sky is not falling for buyers, sellers, agents, anything like that. Second, I am not an attorney. Or if you're a real estate agent watching this, I'm not your broker.
There we go. I like it. Double disclaimer, yeah.
So if you have questions,
I'm in insurance, so I'm all about disclaimers. Yeah. So good job, Bob.
So yeah, talk to your broker about how you should proceed, but I'm not your attorney, I'm not your broker, and the sky's not falling. So I'm going to start with a little bit of history, and then we can build on that.
Love it.
So
okay. Yeah. So speaking of history, if you know, when did this all begin? Where did this start?
We are truly 4 to 5 years into this. And
not 4 to 5 months?
No, 4 to 5 years.
I heard about it like 5 months ago.
Exactly.
Okay.
And what people said 4 or 5 years ago is, that's in the future, we got five years. Well, that 5 years went pretty quick.
Yeah, time flies.
So, if you're in the news, this has not been a hidden secret. The verdict was in on one of the three. We started with 3 major lawsuits. One was Burnett, which was actually the third one filed, first one that went to trial. We have Morrell.
That's why it was so public.
Yeah.
I was like, why was that one so known? Okay, that makes
Morrell
sense.
was actually the very first one, but that one's not supposed to go to trial until 2024 out of Illinois.
And he started this thing, when did he?
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, he was, so I actually read a fact about the Morrell, I think it's Morrell. So it actually started when he sold his home in 2017. Yeah. He felt offended because his selling agent charged him 3.3%, and he gave the buyer's agent the 2.7%, and he just didn't understand exactly why that was, and that's what really caused the stink of things.
Correct.
At least from what I've read.
Yeah,
so.
And the third one was it's known as MLS PIN, which is the Northeast region, because they have their own MLS. That one actually kind of settled out, but it's on hold because the DOJ wants their say on it now. So those are the 3 original ones. We'll go over. There's a whole bunch of lawsuits now, especially that have all been filed in November. But let's go with the Sitzer-Burnett. It's also known as Burnett versus NAR. It's
the one that was just settled,
yep.
right? Yep.
And NAR is National Association of Realtors, but it's also against RE/MAX, Anywhere, Berkshire.
Yep. Home Services.
Home Services.
Of Nevada, which is weird when they call it that.
But it's Home Services because it's nationally branded. They said
because they have other subsidiaries.
They say Home Services and all their subsidiaries.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And Keller
Warren Buffett's real estate conglomerate.
And Keller Williams. Those were the big players in this first one.
Okay.
It was a 7-week trial. It took
It's actually pretty quick, I'd say, for a trial.
Yeah. Overall.
I feel like Johnny Depp's trial went on for 4 months.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
that was fun to watch, right? I guess.
I feel like I feel like it's still going on. People still talk about it.
Yeah, right. Well, I think she did her first movie since.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched some E.
I'd rather party with Johnny, but it's okay.
So the jury deliberated, I think, 3 hours. 4 hours. And on Halloween, they came back in the plaintiff's favor, and they granted them. They asked for 1.8 billion. They were kind to the defendants and came back with $310,872.
Oh. Weird calculation.
Calculation.
It's probably like a 1% off. Probably exactly. Probably the 0.3% that the guy was complaining about.
Well, no, that's Morrell. This is Burnett.
That's more. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So that's a huge number for anybody. And obviously the plaintiffs won that one. But the problem is it's an antitrust case because they say that people manipulated the commissions as a group. So in legal mumbo jumbo, it's called trebled damages.
Trebled.
Which means that 1.7, no, okay. 1.7 is now tripled.
Oh.
In actual damages.
So trebled means
fun
fact.
That was the snowball impact, and that started everything off.
Yeah.
30 minutes after that came out.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. The same attorney group then filed what we all know as a copycat lawsuit.
Yep.
Still in Missouri.
Same state?
Same state.
Oh, wow.
And
I thought this was like state, like almost related, really?
No, same state.
Whoa.
But all they did is they expanded their pool of people that now they're suing. And with this particular one, now they're trying to take it nationwide to attain all sellers. And it's
weird that they did keep it so local, honestly, with that first lawsuit because
I don't think
you named Keller Williams. Keller Williams is here in Las Vegas.
This was their test case.
It's in Missouri. Yeah, exactly. They didn't want to go too big, too fast, if you will.
So with the original Burnett, because of statute of limitations, it only counted, I think, from 16 to 21, I think was the years of purchase.
Okay.
Well, what they did with this Gibson, or the copycat, it was from 2019 to present. So they caught everyone else that wasn't involved in that first one.
Okay.
They named NAR again, and then they named Compass, ESP, Redfin, Witchert, which we don't have out here.
Okay, never heard.
United Real Estate, Howard Hanna, Douglas Elliman, and then I said NAR again. So they got the other side, because they didn't want to go against everybody at once. Now they already have a judgment, so they can use that in trial, to go class action across the United States.
Wow. I mean, we'll see where that goes.
So then we have a whole nother side of it, which we'll discuss in a second. But then we got Burton out of South Carolina. They're only suing NAR and Keller Williams in that one.
Oh. Well, because you're going to win that one. They already settled. So.
They filed on November 6th.
Okay.
You have March out of New York, which was filed on November 7th.
Isn't that a month?
Yeah, it's a month. But it's also, I guess, a home seller.
I saw it on the list too. I was like, what is...
New York New Real Estate Board of New York and 24 agencies.
Okay.
And that's
a lot of money in New York. I feel like I'd go after New York.
Yep. So 11/8/19 to present is the class action group in that one. You have QJ Team in Texas.
Wow.
Noslek. MLS Pin. Oh, that's the MLS Pin. So that's the actual defendant in MLS Pin, the original one that's actually been settled out. DOJ just stopped it.
Oh yes, okay. So that was in 2021, right?
Yeah, they kind of settled out, and that was kind of when the rules started shifting across the board and all that stuff. Now,
that's a lot to take.
I'm gonna take a drink.
Yeah, I was like, this is not a cheers to that.
No, it's just a drink. It's like if we should have done. We should have found one of the whiskeys or vodkas for this one. That would have been
You're
good.
Right. Las Vegas Distillery. I had one of their whiskey. All right, next time we're going to switch up from the beer cider and get us some hard stuff.
When one of these other ones goes to trial. Yeah. So What's really interesting about all these lawsuits is there's defendants that are basically claiming the same thing on different sides. So all the stuff we've already talked about, those are all sellers. And they were overcharged commissions to then be the clear cooperation agreement, which is an MLS rule, was going towards. Well, we have these two lawsuits. They're called Burton 1 and Burton 2.
Okay.
Now they're claiming that the buyers paid too much because they had to pay commissions to the seller and the seller gave it to their agent.
Yeah, they didn't agree with whatever that percentage or
Correct.
fee was. Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting
because not all people like make that clear ahead of time.
And also not all buyer agents are created equal. Sorry, buyer agents.
Yeah, I've heard this many times.
Like,
I work with a lot of agents. When they get new and they're new into the business, and they might not have like a nice sphere of influence, SOI as we call it. They usually join a team, and when you join a team, usually what they do is go show this property. Or
you're the call center.
Or you're a call center. Yeah, go and show.
You buy leads and you hope one hits.
Go and show. So exactly.
They're not all the same. We'll leave it at that. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
I don't want to detail too much.
So Batten 1 started in 2021 and it was home buyers out of New Jersey, and you're going to hear a lot of similar names: NAR, Anywhere, Home Services, Long and Foster, Remax, and Keller Williams.
Well, in Jamaica we call those are the ones with the long pockets.
Yes.
They have the deep,
they have the money.
Pockets, yes.
Well, it was actually thrown out once. A new
attorney or
defendant or plaintiff.
Okay.
Plaintiff, right? I didn't go to law school. The people suing.
Okay, there you go.
Came in to kind of bolster it, and it kind of started. So that one's just kind of been waiting in the waters. And now, after Burnett, they came with Batten 2, which, come to fact, was filed November 2nd, which was 2 days after.
That's why November has just been rampant.
November, if you are in the news, if you're interested in real estate, like real estate, paying $99 a year, every day, new lawsuit. You just can't keep up.
There's over, I want to say 50 of them going on at the moment. I went to a little, mastermind, emporium or whatever yesterday, and that's what I was hearing from somebody here local.
Yeah, so this list is impressive. Compass, EXP, Redfin, that Richard Realtors again, United Real Estate, Howard and Hanna.
Who is this Richard Realtor? I'm gonna look him up.
I'm
just curious. Like, who's Richard?
Also, Howard Hanna, I think that's a big East Coast one because they seem to be pretty. They're in all these. And what's really funny or lucky, I don't know. All these seems to be on the East Coast for the time being.
Okay, well, the thing about East Coast and West Coast when it comes to real estate transaction, I could say this from a neutral third party perspective, is that things are done differently. A lot of things are done not necessarily through a title and escrow company with a neutral.
No, a lot of attorney state there.
They're attorney states, so they're going through attorneys. Well, you gave the attorney too much information because that's what they're coming right back at you, realtors.
Funny story.
Just a joke. No weight behind it. But the correlation there is real. I always joke with people here locally in Las Vegas. They're like, it's great that we have sports teams. A little bit of a segue. Awesome to have sports teams. Well, at the same time, they also allowed gambling across all states via DraftKings and all these other apps.
Yeah.
Well, when Washington State, all these other states were able to gamble on their phone, well, Las Vegas all of a sudden was able to get a professional sports team because it was too rampant. They knew they couldn't control, like Vegas was no.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Gambling hub. They're like, you know how much collusion's going to go on with the gambling scene there? No, once they let gambling go across all the states via technology and apps, we got sports teams. It's kind of the same correlation.
Well, what's funny is I'm one of the groups I'm part of in chat groups and Facebook groups. I honestly, to right now, I can't tell you where it came from, but there's an attorney on the East Coast that's a closing attorney.
Sure.
That was sent out an email to people that they closed them with saying, hey, don't know if you heard about this lawsuit. Our attorney agency wants the buyers to be represented, but we're trying this new thing. You should, next time we buy a house, come through us. We don't charge you anything for the first 5 people we work with. See how we can work this out.
Whoa, okay.
Talk about a shift.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to get an attorney.
Attorneys, baby.
But you're not going to get an attorney to go to the house with you.
No.
They'll answer some emails. They'll make sure the contract looks good, but
an hourly rate. That's
an hourly rate, right?
Yeah, that's also part of this whole lawsuit. They say people are assuming that they might go hourly with some.
But we
some
can't.
Of these. Yeah,
we can't.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
We, as real estate agents, as a broker, my agents are 1099 contractors. They run their own business. I simply carry a lot of the insurance. I'm here to mentor. I'm here to make sure they're doing the right things. But they own their own business. Every agent that works under me is a small business owner.
They're their own brand.
They're their own brand. They're 1099s. With the way the IRS works and that caveat works for real estate, they can't be paid hourly. You can't charge someone hourly for your services.
There you go. Wow.
So an attorney can.
Weird. Yeah. Well,
but is it
filed rate, you know?
Yeah,
but you
but
filed rates, you know, and that's one thing about real estate and why this lawsuit's there. There's nothing filed about what they're supposed to be paid, that they say it's all negotiated and all of this. So yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of just mysteriousness around what is actually.
And I don't know if you've ever worked with an attorney.
Sometimes.
But like on your own benefit, like having to pay the attorney?
Oh, no.
Okay, have you ever seen one of those
just
bills?
like getting trust done. And
yeah. Have you ever seen one of those bills of not trust? Because that's usually a set fee, but like a set bill? An hourly rate for an attorney?
I used to work for a law firm, so I knew the partners, you know.
It's pretty proud.
They made, you know, $500 an hour, I would say, on the minimum, you know, and partners more.
And they will make sure they are on a phone call with you for 6 minutes.
Oh.
So they can charge you a tenth of an hour.
Oh, they'll tell you what the weather's like for the next month just to make sure you're on that other line, you know. And when they send that email, they're going to reference like 19 articles because guess what? That's added to the set time.
Yeah.
You know.
So we'll go there.
Imagine if real estate agents actually track their time on what they do for a deal.
So
like, well, I was prospecting this neighborhood for 9 years.
Okay, so
and I finally got. Imagine if that was actually in the same boat.
So
that doesn't make
funny
sense.
you say that. NAR has put out a list, and we have a list, and we adopted.
Oh, is this that social media post that we keep seeing?
No, that's something different. That's a part of it.
It's a little extra.
But there's 189 touch points on a broker side transaction.
So 1 or 2?
What?
1 or 2?
What do you mean?
I said 1 or 2? No, you said 189.
189, yeah.
That's a few.
So you gotta think, if we're gonna go to an hourly rate of an attorney or whatever, that's a lot of touch points.
Yeah, I mean, every email or any response is like a $100 bill, if not more.
Every home showing?
Time 100 times 189, $18,900 right there. If you charge $100 on any one of those touch points, which might be a little bit low, because if I drove, going to an inspection, and we're 5 hours into this, that's 5 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's way more than $100.
So, with all that being said, there's a lot of stuff out there right now. A lot of lawsuits.
It's still new, you know. I mean,
very new.
There's this quick settlement. They are going to appeal it.
NAR
really don't know.
NAR says they're going to appeal it,
but you don't necessarily like. Well, they didn't settle.
No, they haven't. Nothing. What I've heard from my people I trust very, very, very much, and the logical part of it, especially with all these copycat lawsuits, because we've mentioned Illinois, New York, Texas, Missouri, South Carolina. That's 5 states. I believe we have a lot more states left.
Oh, yeah. Quick math.
Quick math. We have a lot of states left. We're going to run out of money soon. Now, the thing about
NAR.
Keller, you name any of them. You're going to be out of money.
I was looking at NAR assets and like their assets.
They have the building in Chicago.
They couldn't even pay this one.
So
at 1.8, they don't have enough assets in liquidation to actually pay that today, and that's one.
That's one. So what is hopefully going to happen is NAR, as our representative, is going to do what is known as a global settlement. Once again, I'm not an attorney, so if I get the boards wrong, forgive me.
Yes. We're drinking beer.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to the beer. Drinking beer.
Cheers to that, because this isn't really a cheers to that topic.
So they're going to do some sort of global settlement. Everyone's bought, sold house, whatever in the time period allotted would get that little yellow card we've all gotten from.
Yeah, seen it.
We've all got them.
Yeah.
You can opt in, opt out. If you opt out and you can try to sue your local brokerage, there's going to be no money left because an attorney's not going to go for a lawsuit of $2,000 or $3,000. It's not going to happen.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah. Doesn't make sense with the consumer paying the attorney. Yeah. What?
Yeah. So hopefully we get some global settlement. Now, real estate agents, I'm talking to you right now. Buyers, sellers, I'll get to you in a second. There'll be a big rush if NAR settles, and they have to do some sort of settlement that you're going to get a dues assessment. It's going to be a thing. Now, NAR's been through some stuff. Not only through this, they've had some issues with their president. Their CEO's gone.
Didn't one of them, like, when all this came to head, like, was supposed to retire later? But
that's the CEO. He's like, I'm gone.
He's like, you know what? Bye.
You guys have fun with this.
Quick decision. I'm out of here.
But what NAR does for us as an industry, what it actually does for title, what it does for a lot of people, they don't know because they don't do a good job of telling people, but there are lead lobbyists in Washington, D.C. When there's bills that are anti-homeowner, anti-real estate, they're the ones that are there to talk to legislators and explain the benefits of homeownership and how certain things will affect the consumer, that as good-hearted as a bill may sound, has long-term effects. So don't throw out the baby with bathwater.
Are you saying the Patriot Act wasn't about patriot?
That's a whole other topic.
I don't know, but I'm just similar, you know, like
But,
it's always an underlining, you know.
But besides the fact what the good they do for the industry lobbying wise, if this global settlement type thing happens, if you're an NAR member, you're covered under that. You get that umbrella policy of an insurance of they settled for me. Yeah, I may have to pay an extra dues assessment, whatever it may be. Don't rush away from NAR if they do this global settlement, you get an assessment. It's gonna save you.
Yeah.
Or potentially save you.
I mean, yeah, the event I was at yesterday, this was actually exactly what he said. He was just like, listen, and there's so many of those like lottery realtors out there.
Yeah.
No offense to them. But you know, look, they might have one or two net worth clients that, you know, they buy or sell a $3 million home once a year or once every 2 years, 3 years. Well, that's a $100,000 payday or $90,000 payday. Like, I'll pay $2,000 a year to get that random $90,000 payday in the next 4 or 5 years. Like, that sounds like a great return on my investment. Shout out to them, actually. That's a pretty sweet deal.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
So agents, once again, this next 5 minutes, going for you. Buyer agents. As Scott said earlier, it was a great intro spot for a long time.
Yeah.
It was a great way to learn the industry. Mm-hmm. You'd get with a team, you'd get with a broker, you'd make your calls.
It might actually flip-flop from like the seasoned agent that actually has value and that has reason behind of why you should use somebody with the negotiation tactics and the skills and the knowledge. It is more advantageous to the buyer side than personally what I think, this is just my personal opinion, than the listing side. Yeah, there's network and all these other marketing tactics, but that can be learned.
I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Teach negotiation.
Because as an agent now, I'm gonna have to go to my buyer and have them sign a buyer broker agreement. I know a lot of people in our industry, in our area, don't use them yet. It will be a standard.
Oh, the conversation is around.
So, but like a lot of people in our area don't realize there's 12 states that have mandated it for a long time.
Oh, really?
Texas, have to sign it.
Okay.
No question. Washington will be the
12 states, it's mandated.
Washington will be the 13th and January 1st. Like, it's not unknown for states to require this.
Okay.
And I was an anti-buyer broker agreement person for a long time before all this. I'm like, if the buyer likes me, they'll stick with me. If I don't do a good job, they'll go about themselves.
Exactly.
But then the more you think about it, the more these lawsuits come out, you're like, I would never take a listing like that. I'd never put my time and money into a listing like that. Why would I do the same thing to the buyer? I'm doing the research, I'm making the calls, we're going to see homes, like, okay, make it for 2 weeks, make it for a month, show your worth, get that buyer broker agreement. But now there's a line on that buyer broker agreement that says, you will pay me X amount.
Well, and real estate agents, like they're local, they know what the house is worth. I mean, so many people are moving cities. I mean, we're all about, you know, especially here in Las Vegas. It's very transient, so like, they don't know what the pocket is. Like this 280 is not a feasible price. Let's just say $380,000 single family residence in a certain neighborhood has a bigger lot, maybe a bigger home. But a newer, maybe just not even newer, just in a better neighborhood home is selling for $480 in Las Vegas.
Across the street.
There are so many little pockets zoned to better schooling, gated communities, so many other factors, and you don't really necessarily know that by like going on Zillow, scrolling, and you're like, wow, that looks nice. But the minute you dive into like why it's priced that way, it might change your perspective of what that home is truly worth. You
Absolutely.
know? And that's why having a local expert is just, it's unparalleled.
And it's going to take that buyer agent, if you're going to specialize in being a buyer agent, to be able to articulate your value and why it's worth paying you whatever you put on that line, right? Like, I'm not going to tell you what to put on line. You know your value. Your broker may know your value and guide you in that way, but that's your value, right? Someone that comes to me versus someone that's coming fresh out of real estate school from a different state, our values are not the same. My parents have been in real estate for 40 years. I was born and raised in Vegas.
Born and raised in real estate too.
Yeah, like it's like I honestly think my value is gonna be worth more than somebody else's. And now with the way this may shake out, I honestly think it'll be better for agents that are well seasoned and knowledgeable that they'll
I think NAR needs to have like a website so I can go and I can fact check Beau and be like, hey, yeah, I see that he's been in the industry for X amount of years. I see that he sold X amount of homes and he's had a couple commercials. He's done a few different. I want access to that information so that way I'm not being fluffed in this sort of thing. But I'm also a data guy. I fact check everything. So that's just my personality.
So for buyer agent, get really good at articulating your value. Get really good at a buyer's presentation like you have a listing presentation. If you can't do those two things, this industry is not going to be for you long term. That's just the change of the industry. And be it said, we have 18, 19,000 agents here in Las Vegas. I think by the time this all shakes out and people have to articulate their value, we'll be close to 12,000.
Love that. Love that, because it gets rid of all the negative connotations that honestly realtors do get sometimes, because yeah, some people might seem overpaid because they were a little clueless. I was actually at a signing the other day and I couldn't believe the person in front of me, the agent at the signing, I'm a notary as well, just didn't have any idea of what the transaction was about. He kept having to leave the signing and go ask his assistant and come back with like some
Which
like
is sad,
roundabout.
the assistant knew more than he did.
It was just, I was like, whoa. I mean, it wasn't my client. It was on the other side of the transaction, but I almost, felt a little bad for that other side of that transaction. Yeah, I knew the knowledge wasn't there, but it's not my place to say it at the time.
And it's too late now.
I'm just stamping.
So buyer's agents, be better. Just be better. Wake up every day. There's this,
be worth it.
Be worth your value.
Yeah.
Now, seller's agents, this one's for you. Don't take advantage of the current situation. Be honest with your sellers, right? At the end of the day, they bought their house with a 0 to 5%, whatever the buyer's brokerage was at the time, incentive built into that house. So if you go to them and say, you don't have to pay for a buyer's agency, don't expect them to ask for anything, you're lying to them. Because even if the MLS changes to where there's no compensation added, it's going to be just like commercial real estate. Commercial real estate, for the most part, has no commission added to the third-party sites. We write it into our purchase contract.
You agree? Yep.
So yes, you know what? When they
There's a whole section that says,
when they list it, I'm paying. I know what I'm paying my listing agent. Do I know what I'm going to pay for that buyer's agent or a closing cost or however it's going to be? I don't yet.
What if one buyer's agent comes up $1 million higher? This is a crazy number, but $1 million higher than one, and he's charging 1%, but the other one is charging 5%. Like these are all factors, into the negotiation because we're all
buyers, sellers market.
What's my take home? I know there's fees and taxes associated with it, but we all want to know what's that take home number going to be, and these will be, I think, more just forthcoming. More in your face and more transparent.
But just as a listing agent, be honest with your sellers. Don't take advantage of some CNN news article saying that buyer's broker commission is going away, because it's not. The buyer broker is going to get paid. They should get paid. They do a lot of work for their clients, and if they're really good, they do a lot of really good work for their clients.
Buyers agents are, I think, so much more valuable. Like I already said, there's so much more trust that you have to lay in with them. You're already in the house. You're not qualifying for anything. You're not paying. It is definitely I feel like misconception out there, honestly, with buyers agents and sellers agents.
I agree. So sellers agents, I'll see with that. Do your part. Educate your sellers. Don't take advantage. There will be fees.
Yeah,
they're gonna put it into the contract.
Maintain your SOI. If you've sold or we're a buyer's agent on one side, this is something that you do need to reach out to them about. And hey, I know you might have heard some things. This is where it stands today. I mean, we're all looking for touch points. It's
a great way to reach out to people.
And guess what's next week? We're filming this the week before Thanksgiving. Well, what happens during Thanksgiving dinners? Maybe a couple eggnogs, whatever the liquor of choice might be. Usually a little bit of a political debate, maybe some real estate conversation, especially when a broker like Beau shows up at a family dinner. I bet you're like, hey man, I've heard about this. This is going to be a rampant conversation.
Not my house, we're all real estate.
Yeah, not your house. Diana, your wife?
No, her parents would definitely ask me about it.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so you
got me.
The one side.
Okay, we talked about the lawsuits. We talked about what the DOJ wants to do. We talked to buyer's agents. We talked to sellers agents. Now it's time to talk to everyone else who watches our podcast, which we appreciate you.
The consumer.
The buyer, the seller.
How is this going to affect you as one, the seller, and two, the buyer? So where do you want to start? Seller.
We'll start with sellers. I think
that was number one, so I was hoping you'd say that.
So sellers, you just heard where I talk to sellers agents. Don't believe the hype. As in life, if you hear something that sounds too good to be true,
it is.
It probably is.
Most likely.
So if you've known forever, you bought and sold homes forever, that typically speaking, as when you're on the buyer side, you don't pay anything because your buyer's getting paid by the listing agent, which if you really think about it, you're still paying for it because you're putting all the money up, right? So it's not a free service.
Yeah.
It's just how the conversation
That
is being...
seller wouldn't be getting any money if you didn't come in with your 500 grand or whatever you did to get qualified.
So the idea that for the last, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, how many years this concept's been in place that your buyer representation is free? Absolutely false. The money's just come through different avenues. You're paying for it.
Yes. Yes, you're actually paying for everything. Like the contract's a little bit, I think, confusing because it's like, oh, seller pays this, buyer pays this. And I'm like, no, all of that alone paid for that
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
You know?
So sellers, be prepared for an offer if it comes down to where you're only paying for your seller's commission, your seller side commission. For when the offer comes to you, there's going to be a closing cost, if that's what it's called, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the buyer commission closing cost. Yeah.
For the buyer side, it's been,
Representation cost.
it's been baked in for 40 plus years. It's going to be baked
Broker's
in.
fee.
They're going to shift it somehow. It's still going to be in there because especially if you're in that first time home buyer home.
Yes.
The 300,000 to 500,000. These people are coming in with bare minimum to begin with, let alone to pay their broker's agent. But those are the people, in my opinion, that need a buyer's agent the most.
Facts.
Right?
Fact.
Like the first time you buy a house, you need someone to get. They don't know about
We need
home
to chop that up
inspection.
and make that short. That was so right. You guys don't understand, like, in my opinion, how right what he just said is.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're on your sixth home, you're buying a $2 million home. For that point, you're paying for convenience because you don't want to do the research.
You're probably 5 homes deep too. It's
Right.
like your first home buyer.
You
You've done
know
the process.
You can ask and be like, normally by this time I have a home inspection. Like there's some processes to happen, right?
Exactly.
But if
are we gonna get this thing appraised?
But if you're at your first time, you need someone so bad, and you don't have the funds.
Bought my first home 8 years ago. I couldn't believe what I didn't know. You know, I mean, I guess it was 8 years ago. Yeah, I couldn't believe what I didn't know when I bought that home. Like they're like, oh no, we need to do this. We need to ask for that. We need to blue tape that. We got to do all these other things. I'm like, I was just so happy that I could afford this place. It was great for me.
Yeah.
I would have brought up zero of this.
Zero of it, right? You're just happy to have a home that you could call your own.
They
and that
saved me
you're
a
home
ton of money, you know, based on a few of those factors that I just mentioned. So, like, that's where I think I might be a little more emotionally involved with that buyer sentiment based on that. But at the same time, like, I just think it's true.
First time homebuyers need it the most. So if you're in that price range, be expected that that's going to be a closing cost. They just can't afford it and they need it the most.
Yes.
Buyers. Don't be scared to sign a buyer broker agreement. If you have a good agent, they will negotiate that price in, or they will figure out a way to get those funds for you. Yeah. You need representation. If you're a first-time home buyer or you're that 2 point whatever, you need a good agent.
Yeah.
Now, interview agents. Make them prove to you that they're worth their X amount on the line.
When I got my landscaping done, I didn't just hire the first referral. Like, I got 3 referrals, actually 5. And I had them all come by, met them, and wanted to see what they had to offer. And you know, I did like kind of negotiate a little bit. You know, I'm like, well, I liked you, but you know, one guy offered me 20, and I think the other guy was 17, whatever that case was. But you need to make sure that you have that conversation with them. You know, as a buyer, you need to interview people, you know, because we're not all cut equal in any industry, not just real estate. Any industry is the same. So
it's so important for you to have representation. I know I may sound biased as a real estate agent and a broker, but there is so much that goes on that you don't know. The 189 touch points that we talked about earlier, that you wouldn't even think about that happen, right? There's just...
I was thinking like 30 or 40.
189.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Now, 189 of those, some of them are
touch points with the buyer. Or
through the transaction.
Through the transaction. Okay. I was like, if you include escrow.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of touch points there. But interview. But just like everything else, don't necessarily go with the lowest bidder. Don't go with the person that's just in the industry that's going to
1% for life.
Or $500. Like,
are you saying the flat fee listing guy isn't that successful?
You know what's really funny though is most of those flat fee brokerages, if you look historically, they're around for about 2 to 3 years. But there's a reason for that, right? Like,
I personally know someone here locally that was doing flat fee listing that he doesn't do anymore.
But why is that?
Working out.
But why is that? If you think long term, we're in the Amazon age. Most people are willing to pay for convenience.
Oh.
But what are people?
That's all I pay for.
But when you're about ready,
and food.
But when you're ready to make the biggest financial decision most people will ever make, not only are you willing to pay for convenience, are you willing to pay for experience and expertise to make sure that you don't make a mistake?
Yeah, I am.
Right? Like, I'll make a mistake on if I buy the wrong couch. Like, it's not quite comfortable enough. I don't want to be in a house I made a mistake on, then we didn't get the right home inspection. We didn't get the right
neighborhood, and cops are there. We got planes flying over our head because we didn't know that this was happening. Like, there are pockets in Las Vegas, you know, that honestly I just really wouldn't want to move to, regardless of, you know, price per square foot value, you know. So just knowing, I guess there's just so much more involved with real estate and the transactions, but it's the negotiation side, it's the knowledge. Like, buyer's agents are needed in this industry. They're invaluable. To what I feel like the headlines are saying, they're like, buyer's agents are going away. I think it's like listing agents are just going to be
I will leave you guys with this one fact, and I don't know the actual numbers. I'll be round, but I don't know for sure.
I like it.
So before the invent of the internet marketplace, the Redfins, the Zillows, somehow it was like 60% of people use real estate agents in their transaction. Everyone said the internet was going to kill the real estate agent. Don't need it anymore, right? We got all the information.
They did, yeah.
We're up to something like 88% of people now use a real estate agent, because it's like if you go to Cheesecake Factory versus going to
mom and pop, like.
No, it's not even that. It's just, you have, today's world is like Cheesecake Factory. You have 12 pages of information of something to eat. Or you go to a mom and pop where they have 4 items on their menu.
In and out.
In and out, right? You know what you're getting in and out.
Yeah. It lands every time because the expectation's there.
Yeah, do you want cheese or no cheese? Today's, with all the information on the internet, now it's Cheesecake Factory. It takes you half an hour to digest it all, and then you still don't know what you want.
But then you're more confused than where you started with. I know the days that I'm hungriest, to your point, when I'm like, oh, this sounds good, that sounds good, this sounds good. Whatever it landed on, like, it never really hit the spot because I had so many options.
You're thinking about the other options that you didn't have.
Exactly.
That's why.
But when you're craving one thing and you get it, you're like, I'm so glad I did this.
And that's why the use of a real estate agent, real estate professionals, realtors, whatever it may be, will keep going up.
Hell of an analogy. Love it.
And I will cheers to that.
Let's cheers to that, because that is a great analogy.
And this is our longest podcast yet.
I'm going to steal to that. Yeah, I'm going to steal on that one. That was a great analogy, for sure.
So,
yeah. Was it long?
We're up 40 minutes.
I talked less than ever because
I talked more than ever.
This is a broker and a real estate agent, and him and his company NextHome. They are so involved in getting ahead of what is to come in the real estate industry, and that's why what we've been repeating is work with somebody with knowledge, somebody with experience, somebody that is knowledgeable with what's going on in this, and you know, make their value worth it.
Yeah. So continue to study, continue better. If anyone has any, I have tons of podcasts you can listen to. I can refer you to. Hit us up in the comments. I'll send them to you. Scott, thank you so much for being the
Bow title guy.
The Bow title
I'm
guy.
an escrow and title. The commission thing isn't necessarily what I'm there for.
This is so
we'll talk title insurance on one of these podcasts and he won't even say
Yeah, this is so much more than commissions. It's about doing right for the consumer and more in the future of real estate.
100%. Yes.
Cheers to that.
Man.
Hey guys, thanks so much. Subscribe, and we will see you
Don't forget to like,
next week.
subscribe, and share.